All right. Well, I don't know what the hell happened there. If we're trying to predict Los Angeles Lakers basketball at this point, I don't know what the hell to tell you. I was not predicting the Lakers dropping 141 tonight on the Atlanta Hawks. A really impressive win, really good win for the Lakers. And I know maybe we'll get some people in this chat that maybe harp on the fact that Atlanta went on such a run and got it all the way down. Well, they get it down to 11, 13, something along those lines. To be honest with you, I'm not too worried about it. If you build a 32-point lead and you're the Lakers and are desperate for any type of W, go get that win and move on. And that's what the Lakers ended up doing tonight. So I will give them all the credit in the world tonight. Whether, you obviously thought that this was something that was going to happen. It is, if you predicted that this was going to be a W, whatever you predicted, right? Whatever you thought tonight. I didn't think the Lakers were coming out in a second of a back-to-back. A team like the Atlanta Hawks that loves to run the ball up and down. Their pace is fast. They got young players. They got athletic players. They got great wings. They got Jalen Johnson, who I was praising this morning, who really didn't look all that good. I'm sure he'll come back later in the season and be amazing. But a big win for the Lakers. That's all I really want to harp on tonight. And I think kind of a refreshing game if you're a Laker fan. Refreshing for somebody who freaking covers the team, I'll tell you that. It was nice to see the Lakers play good basketball for 48 minutes. All right, you want to call it 40 minutes, 42 minutes, however long you want to put it on there, but it was nice. It was refreshing to see the Lakers play good basketball. Guys, I haven't done too many post-game shows, at least this season, definitely in the last month and a half, 2 months. I'm going to get to talk about a number of players tonight that all contributed. Rui came back tonight. Jackson Hayes did not play. There's 7, 8 guys that I could talk about tonight. And that is not the vibe we've had around Lakers basketball in quite a while. So to be able to do that tonight, I do think is a big deal. And I think obviously for the Lakers in general, just to get a W is important. It's big time. And it was nice to see the Lakers do it. So we'll break it all down. We'll take our time tonight. Obviously, look, it's YouTube. We go as long as we want on YouTube. So I appreciate everybody being here. Do me a favor if you guys don't mind. Please subscribe to the channel. If you come to the channel, we've been getting some great views this season. Love doing the morning show. Obviously, love doing the post-game show, and I appreciate everybody's support very, very much. But if there is a way you'd like to support the channel, subscribing would mean the world. So please feel free to do so. Okay, let's talk about the actual game. I'll get into individual players. I'll do that. But there was something, and I'll probably start off on a player that you guys are not expecting me to start off with, but that's okay. I'm going to read a quote. I was listening, so I was waiting for JJ Redick to come on. I'm going to read something from James Worthy, something that he said post-game before JJ came on. He said, I don't think Lakers can succeed without Ayton. And he is emphasizing that basically if they're going to have any success, and I'm going to give James Worthy a lot of credit here. Not that the man needs credit. He's a freaking one of the greatest Lakers to play the game and just phenomenal, obviously, as a player, phenomenal as an analyst. But I'm going to give him credit in this because he will not lay off the subject about DeAndre Ayton. But he's had, in my opinion, every time I hear him talk about DeAndre Ayton, he's got a little bit of a twist to what he says when he talks about Ayton. He said something along the lines of, you got to get him involved. And I think what he's trying to mention there is it's not all on Ayton's back. That's what I think he's trying to say. And he said a couple of times, to keep this guy engaged, there's certain things that you have to do and everything else. Now, I've told you guys that before. That bothers me a little bit. That frustrates me that you got to give Ayton, in order to get what you need from Ayton, you got to give Ayton some certain things. It's like, well, why can't Ayton just come out and give the same effort and energy every night? And then whatever the result is, the result is. Ayton had 17 and 18 tonight. I don't care about the 17 points. He had 18 rebounds tonight. He had a lot of plays and a lot of possessions where it was, obviously key. I think this is a good game for DeAndre Ayton. You could tell I was watching him in his post-game presser. and Trudell was interviewing him right after the game. And you had at one moment you had Austin Reeves come up to him. Another moment you had Jake LaRavia come up to him. There's some love for Ayton there. It's up to Ayton to, obviously try to play on a more consistent basis. I will say this about Ayton: if you've been critical about DeAndre Ayton, I mean, I've been wildly critical, and I don't, obviously I don't shy away from that. If I'm going to say something, then I'm going to make sure that I emphasize what my reasons are and why I'm critical on DeAndre Ayton. But if you're critical about DeAndre Ayton, what are you really asking for? You're just asking for some consistent play from a talented big man. Nobody's asking him to be Shaquille O'Neal or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but can you just be a consistent big man for the Lakers? Tonight he was great, 17 and 18. I'm going to jump around here and I'm going to point at some of the role players before I get into LeBron, before I get into Luka, before I get into a couple other players as well. And JJ Redick said something post game about LeBron, which I think is interesting as well. Actually, he might be addressing some of the people in my chat. I mean, he could be addressing. I think that's what he did. I think he's addressing some of the people in the chat when it comes to LeBron. Some of the individual players I want to get into in tonight's game. What I've said this, and I talked about it this morning. I did my show this morning, and I was talking about how inconsistent the role players are. And you know why I've been saying that is because they're also very inconsistent. You know how inconsistent they are? They're so inconsistent that tonight, all of them were great. I mean, if that doesn't tell you that I have no idea what to expect every single night. But let me first do the starting lineup, and then I could point out a couple other players as well. Jake LaRavia and Marcus Smart yesterday combined for 3 points. Tonight, Jake LaRavia had 17. Also had a steal, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. Marcus Smart was wildly more aggressive and getting to the free throw line and trying to get to. He went through a stretch there. I don't know. Was that the start of the third quarter? He's just attacking the basket every possession. I'm like, what is he doing? 1-on-3s, he was attacking the basket. Marcus Smart had 16 points tonight off just 5 field goal attempts. 4 of 5 from the field, 2 of 3 from the 3-point line, and then 6 of 6 from the free throw line. As good of a game as both of those players could play for the Lakers. On top of that, Marcus Smart had 5 rebounds. Marcus Smart had 4 assists. I mean, you take the 2 superstars out of this lineup, and you just are paying attention to that starting lineup. Jake LaRavia, DeAndre Ayton, and Marcus Smart tonight were as good as you could ever ask your role players to be. And listen, some of them, Jake LaRavia is a role player. Marcus Smart's a role player. You were hoping that DeAndre Ayton wasn't a role player because I think they needed a bigger role from Ayton. But to see those 3 starters for you put up those types of numbers and that efficient from the field. Look at everybody's efficiency. I mean, by the way, the Sacramento Kings last night, their numbers were wild. They were crazy, right? If you take a quick look at what some of their numbers look like, it was 59% from the field, 65% from the 3-point line. Lakers were pretty damn good on offense today as well. 58% from the field and 56% from 3. And by the way, 87% from the free throw line. So this might be the best offensive output that we're going to get from the Lakers. But the key has been, and this has always been a part of the conversation. Always a part of the conversation it's been, you can't have 1 or 2 guys try to carry you. Luka yesterday dropped 42. By the time he got to the fourth quarter, he had 2 points. He had 40, I think, going into the third. So I think the biggest thing is you're going to need help. There's no good team in the NBA that can have 1 or 2 players just carry a squad. They were all kind of brilliant tonight, and I didn't see it coming. I really didn't. Atlanta had won 3 games in a row, a good, tough road win at Denver, a good, tough road win at Golden State. I'm not saying Lakers couldn't beat the Atlanta Hawks. What I'm saying is I didn't expect the Lakers to drop 141 and be up 32 points at one point in the game. But shout out to Jake LaRavia, DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart. I thought all those players were brilliant. Gabe Vincent, I thought, had very, very productive minutes for the Lakers. Hit 3 threes for the Lake Show, had 10 points in 14 minutes. And those were your main contributors for the Lakers. Rui comes back. I've said this before. I really don't want to be critical about Rui unless I got something positive to say for a couple of weeks because it's not fair to Rui. Really, all you're asking for from Rui Hachimura is you're just asking for the man to get his wind back, get his conditioning back, get his timing right, and then hopefully, obviously, Rui can contribute for the Lakers. He came off the bench tonight, played 18 minutes. I heard in the pregame interview of JJ Redick basically saying that he was going to go. I think 18 minutes was his max. If he played yesterday, it would have been 15 minutes. He got 18 minutes tonight and wasn't going to play on a second of a back-to-back. I'll hold up on LeBron. I'll hold up on Luka. I want to read some of your guys' comments, and then we can go from there, and we'll go from here. Let's read some of these. I thought the Lakers would be in trouble when Ayton went to the bench. By the way, that's a big compliment to Ayton because that's not something that we say all the time. So, certainly all they're asking for, if I stay on Ayton here for a quick second, you got to have a big, to succeed in the league. And you don't need the best big in the league. Nobody's going to ask him to be Nikola Jokic. They're just asking him to be productive on a more consistent basis. So, anyways, from an Ayton perspective, the fact that you're mentioning Ayton in some of this chat is a positive take right there as well. Let's get another one here. Ayton's a starter, shouldn't be considered as a role player, but understandable. Well, the tough thing is when the season was starting, I thought his role was going to be bigger than a role player, but I feel like the way he's playing, he's almost labeled himself as a role player, if that makes sense, right? That he's not playing good enough to where I can sit here and tell you that, every single night the Lakers are depending on Luka, LeBron, and Ayton. Well, that's not the case. You don't get that title unless you're doing something on a more consistent basis. And unfortunately for Ayton, he hasn't been consistent. All right, let me get a couple more in here and we'll keep going. With all the injuries, 24 and 14 is damn good. It's weird because if they didn't get off to such a good start and built, some equity here, the problem is I think they're below 500 in this last handful of games. Let's look at their schedule. We can actually look at their schedule together. If I try to do the math here, what I want to look at is I just want to see how the Lakers have done over the last, let's call it 10, 12 games or 10, 12 games, 16 games. Let me count up the losses here. I'll do this here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's take 7 losses there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're 5 and 7 in their last 12. The 24 and 14 says something. The 24 and 14, not that it matters, first in the Pacific Division. All right, what does that matter? Nobody really cares about the division anymore. 24 and 14 is a good record. The problem with the Lakers, they got a lot of those wins early. And you start paying attention to some of the teams that they've lost against. And then all of a sudden they started losing to some teams that were below 500. So in the beginning it was, they beat every team that's above 500 or below 500. Well, you lost to Milwaukee, you lost to Sacramento. So even that argument started going away. So I don't disagree that a 24 and 14 record is not a good record, but I think you got to add the context with the Lakers because there is context. That's real. It's legit. The context of, well, how many of those wins did you stack up earlier? And then, obviously where you're sitting right now. But you're not wrong on the injuries. I mean, the bottom line is, and I'm sure a lot of people are sick of talking about the injuries, but here's the reality. I think they've only had their entire lineup 2 or 3 games. I know Luka, LeBron, and AR have only played in 8 games together so far this season. So there is something. Austin Reeves being out is a significant injury for the Lakers. That's for a team that doesn't have depth, for a team that doesn't have guys that play on a consistent basis, that's a tough one. That's a tough one to have. So, as we sit here and, we obviously talk about where the Lakers are sitting and the direction that they're moving in, I don't mind the 24 and 14, but I think what everybody wants to see when they are healthy, you got to start beating some good teams, and the Lakers have struggled from that perspective. You also got to play defense. You also got to have guys that contribute on a night in, night out basis. Let's get a couple more of these in here. DK needs a new role to organization. Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I've kind of lost. That has gone away from me as far as some of the faith in Dalton Connect. I mean, I hope it happens. I just don't expect it to happen. And I'm not holding my breath on it as well in regards to, obviously what he's doing on a night in, night out basis. I got a couple just quick stats I want to share with everybody. I just saw somebody put up there the 36 assists for the Lakers. Um, Pretty damn special on offense tonight. And again, if I'm sitting here, I'd be lying to you if I said, "Oh yeah, I was expecting a big bounce back." I mean, here's the reality: when you lose like they did to Sacramento yesterday, don't play enough defense. Sacramento's 10-30 on the season. What makes you think a team in Atlanta get an extra night of rest? Who's young? Who's hungry? Who's playing better? Who got rid of a player that, to be honest with you, I don't think they need at this point. They're trying to move on, get obviously a couple of players in return. I'm not expecting the Lakers on the second of a back-to-back to do what they did tonight. Some of the stats to the game, I mentioned the 58% and the 56% from the three-point line, 87% from the free throw line. But look at the rebounding, 42 to 37. Assists, 36 assists for the Lakers. That's so damn impressive. By the way, how does Atlanta get blown out with only 6 turnovers? You never see that. 16 turnovers for the Lakers, only 6. This was kind of a cool stat to see as well because it doesn't happen all the time. Lakers led 87% of the game. Lakers had a lead. So that's a kind of a nice stat there, which we don't always see. All right. I want to talk LeBron, and I got a lot to kind of say on LeBron. Before I do so, let's give a quick shout out to one of our partners here, Brad Walsh and the Walsh Firm. Been a partner now last season, a partner this year. Brad Walsh and the Walsh Firm, they're injury attorneys. They could help anybody in the state of California. A serious injury, wrongful death case. If you are a family member, just is in a situation or a predicament, I highly, highly, highly recommend you go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa, fill out that consultation, and they'll help you in any possible way. I've had somebody hit me up on Instagram. Hey, Al, do you think Brad Walsh can help me with this? I don't know, but you know what? I'll put you in touch with him. Anybody that needs an introduction, I'm happy to make one as well. wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. I appreciate you guys showing support to our partners as well. Okay, let's talk LeBron here. Why don't I lob a question out to everybody on LeBron? Talk to me about what you thought of LeBron's game. Just some of the things you liked, some of the only, if I have any criticism towards LeBron, that stretch where Atlanta was making a run, I didn't know who to blame. I'll tell you who I would like to blame. I'd blame JJ Redick for not calling any plays. The ball just wasn't moving. And you heard Stu and Billy Mack. It's like, you guys going to run any plays? Is the shot clock just going to be winding down? I hate stretches like that. It's the worst basketball that's out there, and it's never a winner. But other than that brief little stretch, I mean, you see his stat line, 31, 10, and 9 for LeBron tonight. Second of a back-to-back. I thought LeBron did something. I thought LeBron did something today that was kind of set the tone for tonight's game. I'll tell you what he did. Yesterday, Bron hasn't played a second of a back-to-back yet this year. And yesterday, today, LeBron was questionable. And then before the game, they make the decision. They say, all right, LeBron's a go. I thought that was significant. In my head, I was like, all right, let me think about this. LeBron was just talking, a couple weeks or a week ago about how it's tough for him to play second of back-to-backs. He's 41 years old. It's always going to be to be determined. He's not going to know whether he's able to go or whether he's not. And he went. And I just think the mere fact that LeBron said, and I think it says something to what the Lakers and the team and LeBron probably thought about this game. Guys, if we don't get the car back on the road, it might be difficult, or, you got to kind of keep your head above water until Austin Reeves comes back, or the trade deadline comes, or the Lakers make a move, or some of these role players start hitting some shots again. Lakers can kind of gain some momentum. But I think LeBron thought this was going to be a significant and a critical game. I got to go tonight. I'm sure his body felt good enough, and that's why he did it as well. But they played last night in Sacramento, flew home whenever they got home, got into his bed whenever he did his recovery and everything that he had to do, woke up this morning and tried making it happen against Atlanta. And I think there was a reason for that. I do think that they probably believe this was a big one. And if we don't get a game like this, who knows what can happen over the next 2 weeks or so, and who knows where we can be in the NBA standings and some of the other teams in the Western Conference. So I thought it was a significant decision for LeBron to play in this game. The 12 of 20 from the field, the 31, 10, and 9, I think says it all. And JJ Redick said something post game. I'm not going to be able to just grab it right now as we're sitting here. So, I'll just have to, as best as I can, paraphrase what he said. But he said something to the effect. He's like, those who are out there, because somebody had asked the question of what he was able to do tonight and still doing it at 41. That question comes up, right? That's not a new question. But he basically kind of called out anybody that calls out LeBron. And he just said that if you saw the amount of work he puts in to do what he's still doing at this age. And like I said, I think kind of called out anybody that's critical of LeBron James and whoever he's referring to, or maybe he's talking about a ton of different people in the media space or podcasting or whatever the case is. And you guys, honestly, I don't really listen to too much other than, what I'm trying to put together for a show, but maybe you guys know exactly what he's referring to. Yeah, he kind of went out of his way to say, I wish you guys can see what I see for LeBron to continue to do this. I haven't looked at the comments, and I'll look at them as we go. I'll take a second to do so, but it's pretty much, I've said this before, and at the end of the day, look, would I like to see the chapter after LeBron James? Sure. There's some interest there. Okay, what's it going to look like after this season? I don't think you could continue to pay LeBron, obviously, $52 million. And I think if you really want to start building a contender, I just don't know how Luka's timeline is going to fit with LeBron's timeline. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do for the remainder of this season. I'm just going to try to enjoy games like this from LeBron because you're not going to continue to get them. There's no guarantee that he's going to be able to top a game like this that he had tonight. So I'm just going to try to watch one of the greatest players to ever play the game, still put up monster numbers and help you get a win at age 41. Atlanta's that's a tough team to score on. Atlanta's a good team. And when I say good team, I'm not talking about they're going to go compete in the Eastern Conference and go win a NBA championship, but their style of play doesn't bode well typically for the Lakers. Young, athletic, run the ball up the floor, great wingspan. That if I'm LeBron, I'm walking in this game like, Jesus, I got to go up against these guys, these young guns. But LeBron made it happen tonight. Like I mentioned, his performance and his 31, 10, and 9. All right, let's read a couple of the comments here. Let's see what we have here. Okay. It's hard to enjoy LeBron farewell tour when we got scrubs on the payroll because that's all we can afford after his pay. Well, you don't have a choice, so you might as well just enjoy it. Okay. Sometimes, you got to just, you got to roll with the punches. The minutes in the beginning, beginning of the fourth for LeBron makes a huge difference, allows Luka to rest while he distributes the ball and scoring. You know what I think I heard them say at one point? There we go. Can we just, is it too hard to just have a comment like that? LeBron looked good tonight. Is that difficult? Is it that difficult for some of you people out there? Come on. Just type it. It's not that hard. It's like pulling teeth out here. Exactly, James. That's what the man said. Bron has looked real bouncy these past couple of games. I will tell you this, I was on a little bit earlier. So I do those. I mentioned you guys. I got that iHeart partnership going now, and I do some Laker reports for them. And they air on AM 570. Okay. I also will do some call-ins. So earlier today, I went on with Petros and Money, and we were having the conversation about LeBron, and I mentioned that the biggest problem with, I don't know, we want to call it LeBron's situation, where the problem with the Lakers is they're depending on a 41-year-old, which is not a good game plan. It's not a good idea. And frankly, it's not fair to LeBron. I mean, if you need LeBron to give you 31, 10, and 9 in a game in January against the Atlanta Hawks, yeah, that's not great stuff right there, right? You don't want to depend this much on LeBron. You're supposed to be depending on Luka and Ayton and Rui and Reeves and Marcus Smart and Dalton Connect. Yes, I'm throwing his name in there. Gabe Vincent and Jared Vanderbilt. You're supposed to be depending on some of these guys to just collectively all put together good stat lines to, again, not one individual player, but collectively. And then LeBron, let him kind of get his 25 and 5. But you don't want to depend on LeBron on a night in, night out basis. There is depending on LeBron. And then people get mad at LeBron and they'll say, well, he's not playing enough defense. Why is he taking this shot? You know, he's got to swing the ball around, all this stuff. You're not wrong, but now you're depending on LeBron. And I think that puts LeBron in a tough scenario. You just shouldn't be depending on a 41-year-old in any sport, especially basketball, right? Especially when it's a game like basketball. All right, let's couple other comments. You guys can start putting some of these comments in here. Luka tonight, 27, had a lot of that early, ended up with 12 assists as well and 5 rebounds, 7 turnovers for Luka. You know what I can't tell with Luka sometimes? Some of the passes he makes, I'm like, is he bored? Or does he really think that pass is going to come through? That's an area of Luka's game that, obviously as the season continues, I don't know what to tell you, but there's a lot of strengths that come with Luka Doncic, but his turnovers are bad. I think the broadcast was saying something. Did I understand them right? Did I understand James Worthy and Robert Ory? Did I understand them correctly when they had mentioned about Luka and about getting Ayton the ball more? Either they were saying he has to realize that the ball's got to move more. We've talked about that on this show. I hate ISO basketball. I really do. Now, Luka's a brilliant player. He's hitting fadeaway threes or step back threes over Dyson Daniels and Alexander. And some of these guys are like, how the hell is he hitting some of these shots? But there's a part of Luka's game that I think he's got to be, and maybe he's just not that confident in some of the other players he has around him where he doesn't have sharp shooters or whatever the case is. Or if he's looking, he's like, I got to throw the ball to Vando in the corner. I might as well just take the shot. But there are areas of Luka's game that I do think if the Lakers are going to have more success, he's going to also have to have more confidence in some of these guys and just allow them to succeed and fail rather than just watch him, obviously take a number of shots. So overall for the Lakers, all five starters scoring double figures. How about some of these plus minuses? Marcus Smart was a plus 32. DeAndre Ayton was a plus 31. Those are monster plus minuses. Luka was a plus 27. So really, really impressive what some of those players did as far as their plus minus goes. Not that that's the end all be all, but obviously just making a case for them that they certainly performed. They played well. All right, let's get to a couple of comments here, and we'll keep things going. They actually won. Wow, I'm surprised. I don't blame you. I really, really don't blame you. I mean, genuinely, like I'm a little bit with you in the sense it's not just a win; it's how they won, how much they dominated. That to me is more of it. I hate ISO basketball too. That does not win championships. I agree with you. Couldn't agree more. Luka's third quarter stretch, indecisive with errant passes, certainly can protect the ball better. Yeah, I mean, I think it was yesterday that I asked. I felt like after the game, who'd they lose to? Not after Sacramento. They lost to who were the 3 losses they had in a row? Man, I'm losing it. I'm officially losing it. I'm drawing blanks. You guys can tell me from the game that they lost to before the Sacramento Kings. And there was a point, I'm going to look right now. Kings lost to the Bucks. That's right. They lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. But there was a point, watching um watching Luka in some of these games, a lot of it also has to do with some of those turnovers, and he's got to clean it up. That's all it is. You just got to clean it up. All right, let me get another one here. I thought we were going to get smoked. Can't wait to get home and watch the game. Braun balled out, it looks like. Definitely go home, watch the highlights, watch the game. I think Spectrum replays it after all their interviews. So you know the result. You're going to be able to chill, kick back, and actually enjoy the game. We probably wouldn't be so hard on him if he didn't take up 52 million. I understand that. I get that. I get that. I get what people say about that. But, you know, LeBron coming back this year, you have to also understand that he was good last year. And you also got to understand that it's in his contract to opt in for the $52 million. So he obviously took advantage of it. I don't know if the Lakers were going to be able to go sign 2 or 3 other players. It's not dollar for dollar if he didn't sign. So again, I think you got to just take it for what it is. Now, I'm not going to argue with you that moving forward, I do think you still, and I'll say this again, and you guys will probably get sick of me saying this. Eventually, you're going to have to build a team around Luka, and it's just not in the cards to go. Yeah, well, let's do it with a 41-year-old and a 26-year-old. That's not realistic. But let's see how the next 30 days goes for the Lakers. Let's see if Austin Reeves can get back in the lineup. Let's see if some of these role players can be consistent. And so far this season, they've told you that they can't be consistent, but that could change. We'll see if it changes. And then let's see what the Lakers do by the deadline. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, let's keep rolling here. Let's keep rolling here. All right, shout out here, quick super here. Thank you very much. Appreciate that very much. Got a lot of people that show love to the channel, so thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate you guys. Okay, couple things I'm going to do here real quick, and then I want to. A lot of the teams in the West. The only team I think I saw win or lose was Phoenix, but a lot of games in the NBA were critical games. I say critical as in they had an effect in the standings and would affect the Western Conference. So we're going to look at scores from around the NBA. We'll look at the standings, and then I'll start previewing a little bit of Lakers and Charlotte. Before I do so, shout out to Harris Resort SoCal. Working on a date. I'm going to try to get out there the end of January. Looking forward to it. I got kind of a cool little plan that I'm going to get out there for. I think I'm going to do one of my morning shows from there. I'm starting to also plan for a Lakers viewing party or obviously one of the games a little bit later down the road as well. So I keep you guys posted on that where we can, it'd be basically one of the first events since I've been doing YouTube where I can hang out with listeners. We can kick back. I'll probably do a post-game show, all that stuff. So the plan is to do all that stuff at Harris. So I will keep you guys posted on that. HarrisSoCal.com. If you go to that website, you can start planning your getaway. I might tell you to delay that plan for a quick second because I am also working on them of getting a discount for any of our listeners that want to go stay at Harris Resort SoCal. It's a beautiful location, one of the best resorts in Southern California. Anywhere in SD or anywhere in Southern California that you are, about an hour to 2 hours away because it's located in North San Diego, North SD, out in the Palomar Mountains. So it's really, really pretty, really, really beautiful. Over 1,000 luxurious homes, great restaurants. If you're looking for a staycation, HarrisSoCal.com, and shout out to them for being a partner. All right, let's look at scores from around the NBA. And then we'll look at the NBA standings. Then we'll look at the next game that the Lakers have against Charlotte. All right, let's take a look here. Let's see what we have here. Scores around the league. You guys want to see it with me? All right, let's look at it together. We'll sing Kumbaya together. All right, let me get this up, share the screen, get that. All right, here we go. All right, here's some of the scores around the NBA. Okay. See what the hell happened with some of these teams in the Western Conference. All right, I saw that the Suns lost. They had a lead late and blew that lead. Rockets beat Chicago. They were on a 3-game losing streak. Damn, look at Minnesota pumping their chest out on the Milwaukee Bucks. Denver wins again. All right. I know they're playing the Pelicans, but they keep kind of winning without Jokic. And then here's the Thunder finally getting a W against the San Antonio Spurs. They were 0-3, and OKC flexes for a quick second right there. Okay. What does that do in the NBA standings? Let's take a look here. Western Conference, OKC by themselves. OKC, as bad as they were playing, they have a 6.5 game lead still in the Western Conference. Okay, here are the Lakers, number 5 spot. They're a half game in front of Houston, 1 full game in front of the Phoenix Suns. With the Lakers winning and the Suns losing, the Lakers obviously gained some ground there. You can't sleep in the West. You sleep at any stretch here, you're going to struggle and you're going to fall back. But this is where the Lakers are sitting, number 5 spot. If the playoffs started today, let's run it back against the Minnesota Timberwolves. That would be the matchup. So Lakers sitting at 24-14, Minnesota at 27-14. And Denver's still, holding on. That's all you can do without Jokic. And to be honest with you, it's pretty impressive that they're still doing it. Still impressive that they're still doing it. Okay, next game for the Lakers. I mentioned we're going to look at the games here real quick. Here's what we got. All right, somebody want to put in here. It's a good idea to do this. Haven't done roll call in a while. If you're out here and you're tuning in and you're listening and you want to give a plug to wherever you're tuning in from, whatever part of Southern California, wherever part of the state of California, whatever part of the country or whatever part of the world. YouTube obviously allows anybody to tune in from anywhere, and obviously Laker fans are everywhere. So wherever you're tuned in from, throw it in the chat, and I'll give you guys a quick shout out here. Before I do so, I do want to, so I'll come back to roll call. You guys can start kind of plugging your stuff right here, and I'll come back to it. Lakers got Charlotte coming up on Thursday. That's the next game. Another 7:30 tip-off. They're going to kill me with these post-game shows. 7:30 tip-offs. And then which dumbass decided to do a morning show at 8 a.m.? That would be me. All right, it's all good. We talking NBA basketball. The gig's not bad, all right? Charlotte Hornets. Where are the Hornets sitting? They are 14-26 in the Eastern Conference. Last handful of games, they lost to the Clippers by 8. Jesus. They beat the Jazz 150-95 a couple days ago. Lost to the Pacers by 2. Lost to the Raptors by 1. Beat the Thunder. Beat the Chicago Bulls. Got to be honest with you, they're playing better basketball. They're playing better basketball. I think there's been some conversation about LaMelo Ball. Will they trade him? Will they not trade him? LaMelo's still putting up some pretty damn good numbers. 20 points, almost 8 assists and 5 rebounds. Miles Bridges, a nice player for them. Brandon Miller, a nice player for them. So, that's right. Knepel's on this team as well. And that's the rookie that's been killing it. We'll get a chance to see him as well. They got 4 guys averaging 19 points. And then Colin Sexton averaging 15 points. That's solid. That's a solid 5 right there. All right. That's the next game that the Lakers got coming up. Thursday at 7:30, Lakers and the Hornets. Damn, I have not done roll call in a while. Let me see what we got here. Anaheim in the house. Corona, thank you very much for tuning in. We South Carolina. We got a little South Carolina action here. A little Glendale, California. Glendale's got some good Middle Eastern food. Yes, yeah. You want some good Middle Eastern food, go out to Glendale. Or come to El Cajon. One of the two. Torrance in the house. Thank you for tuning in. All right. Compton. A little Compton action here. Manila. Manila's got 2 monitors working. I appreciate you being a part of the show. Redondo Beach. Glendale in the house, I mentioned. Cal State Fullerton in the house. East LA, but North Hollywood now. Okay. Got you there. Fresno in the house. Australia, thank you for tuning in. Rochester, New York. San Bernardino. Let's see what else we have here. LaMelo, we used to hoop at 24 in Chino Hills. All right. North Hollywood, Las Vegas in the house. Shout out to Tijuana. Where's the invite? Get some good Mexican. Can I get an invite to Tijuana? It's my neighbor down in San Diego. All right, see what else we have here. Porter Ranch, thank you for being a part of the show. Fourth shift UPS driver. That's an OG right there. Appreciate you being a part of the show. All right, we haven't done roll call in a while, so it's kind of nice to do that. All right, my people, I'm back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Obviously, we'll continue to break some stuff down, but, overall, just a really impressive win for the Lakers tonight. It's much needed. They were desperate for a W. They had to have it. And to kind of win the way they did threw me off. And if there's one thing that we could take away from this game tonight, if the Lakers are going to start having some success, and one game doesn't mean that's it, they figured everything out. But if they're going to start having some success, Jake LaRavia, DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, maybe Connect can get involved in some ways. You don't need 6 guys to contribute every night, but can you get 2 or 3 on top of LeBron and Luka? That's what they're going to need, and they got that tonight. So a good win for the Lakers. Thursday night, Lakers play at 7:30. We'll do another post-game show. And obviously, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel. Lakers over the Hawks, 141-114. I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody.